Hello and welcome to the DC Stewart Show podcast. It is Monday and it is November 10th. And you got your host and your boy here. I'm Derek Stewart, along with my kinfolk Isaiah and with Najee. And we couldn't have come back on a better day, which is a Monday morning to talk about sports recap weekend. We had a really good weekend. Saturday, we ended up going, talking a lot about football on Saturday, so we'll have a lot more to talk about today. We're going to be talking about NBA. We're going to be talking about NFL because we've lost some legends in both leagues, and we want to honor them. Rest in peace to both. And we're going to just be covering a lot of the current sports news. We just had a breaking news story come out just a few minutes ago, and we will talk about that. I got my boy Najee back here with us today, and it couldn't be a better day because on Mondays when you wake up and you're feeling good and you're looking good and you're getting paid good, I hope. And if you're not, at least feeling good and looking good is good, right? So hit that every time. And by the way, I just want to comment on Isaiah's hat. That hat is looking spectacular, by the way.
Thanks, God.
I love it.
Thanks.
I love it. And Najee's got Merry Christmas behind him, so he's getting prepared for the holidays early, getting set up, setting up shop in the whole 9 yards. We hope everybody's in good spirits and good health today because that's so important now, especially in this day and age with all of the stuff that's going on around the world. We want everybody to feel good and be healthy, think healthy, eat healthy, and just live that healthy lifestyle no matter how much you might want to, divulge over to the side every now and then. There ain't nothing wrong with that. So hit that like button. And the reason I'm saying hit that like button because we're streaming right now on 3 different platforms. And we're streaming basically on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And we're just, man, we're growing. I mean, we have an international audience now. We have people giving us some props back and forth. And we love that because we can bring you better topics. We got some upcoming guests this week that's going to be talking about some other sports as well. And that's the reason I say hit that like button and subscribe, because we want you to subscribe because you'll get the notifications whenever there's a new video uploaded. You'll be the first to know before anyone else. So I'm going to go ahead and unpack everything right now and bring in my kinfolk Isaiah. I want to know about the hat. I want to know about the shirt, and I want to know about how your weekend went beyond Saturday, because we did have a show on Saturday.
Well, I'm wearing bright colors because I got a bright weekend and a bright future ahead of me. So that's why I want to stay bright. Man, my weekend was absolutely superb. I hung out with my nephew, my brother, my handsome dad, and then my Kings took care of business, and my Dolphins got out of that little slump that they was in. And boy, it was beautiful, man, to see my Dolphins take care of Buffalo and win one time since he's been often, and they gave him that big bag of money, and now he's showing that he's worthy and he's worth it. And the team looked like they got past all of that situation where you had the GM get canned, and they was talking about canning McDaniels and shipping him to and all of them in one little big Boeing. I could snatch that Christmas thing off of Najee's wall and put it and bulk all those guys together and ship them out of here. But guess what? It didn't happen. The dog.
I wouldn't get too happy if I was you about them Dolphins yet. They play in and out.
My weekend, man. Let me enjoy my weekend.
I ain't letting you enjoy nothing because Najee done got on you before about them Dolphins. So just let them Dolphins be. Let them just kind of grow a little bit more. Why don't you do that?
Oh, man, they gonna win this week. We going out of the country and we gonna win. How about that, DC?
You going out of the country and you're gonna win out of the country?
The Dolphins are heading out the country tomorrow, and you will see them on Sunday at 9 o'clock in the morning. They will be playing out of the country, and they're going to kick some rear end. They playing Washington.
The Washington
How about
Commanders.
that?
How about that?
Yes, we gonna put something on them guys too.
Well, they Washington doesn't have their starting quarterback, so I'm gonna give them a little bit of benefit of
Excuses,
the doubt.
excuses, excuses. You listen, man. It's called
To a person
professional,
that
and the
says he want
next
to
man is
play
supposed to
teams
step
at
up.
full strength.
Well,
I listen to me, man. I've always told you that we can't control what's going on in somebody else's organization. If they drop a guy, put a new guy in there, and the next man stand up. That's it. But I actually like to win with everybody. Got everybody. I've got their whole full strength. There's no complaining. We don't want nobody who's nurturing a shoulder or a knee or a pelvis or anything. We want them at full strength, and we gonna kick their rear end. How about that?
hey, we love it. We love it.
Lips are sealed. Lips are sealed.
So Najee, holla at me and tell me about your weekend, and then I'll tell you about mine, and then we're gonna go over some of the topics that we're gonna be talking about today.
Oh, it was fulfilled sports weekend between college football, pros, and the NBA. It was a lot of losses and there was a lot of wins that should not have not happened. Like how the Hawks manhandled Luka Lakers. You got Tua and the Dolphins that beat Josh Allen, the MVP of last season, with James Cook. They didn't score to the fourth quarter yesterday. That
That don't
and
sound
and
right.
and Isaiah was talking about a fluke when the Ravens manhandled the Dolphins. That was a fluke because that would never happen again.
I
Josh
totally
Allen
agree.
averages easily 30 points against the Dolphins every time he played with them, and he didn't score to the fourth quarter. Now he's bragging about playing the Commanders. He's bragging about playing the Commanders without Jay and Daniels. I hope they win the next
Listen,
three games
man.
they got because they
Well,
play the Commanders, they play the Saints, and they play the Jets. If they don't win those three games, they don't deserve to do anything. Now the last three games, I'll give them to lose that because they're gonna have to play the Bengals, which is Joe Barrow will be back by then. They got to play the Buccaneers, which is was Baker Mayfield, and then they got to finish with the Patriots in their own division. So they better win the next three games because the last three games they're gonna play of the season will be in L. Just throwing it out there.
well, I have to agree with you, Najee, especially when it comes to the Dolphins playing up and down. And I'll just say this, and I'm gonna leave it like this. Josh Allen could beat the Dolphins with on his own legs without needing James Cook. So it was an off game. It was
Mm-hmm.
definitely an off game for Buffalo. I'm gonna go ahead and give the Dolphins a little bit of credit that they were able to stop Buffalo this time. But never count them out because we're always pulling for them. But Buffalo is the kings of the
Thank you,
AFC
DC. Never
East.
count out my dolphin. Never count out my dolphin. That's right. There you go. Thank you.
Absolutely. So my weekend went really well. I got a lot done this weekend. Sundays are always good. I was able to do some stuff around the house, and I was able to cook and do a few things here and there. Prepping for Thanksgiving. I'm gonna go pick up me a peach cobbler. I'm gonna have me some peach cobbler this Thanksgiving, and then I'm gonna get on the treadmill the very next day. So how about that? How about them apples?
Hey, no, Najee, have you noticed this guy don't never do anything from scratch? He get canned greens, he go pick up a peach cobbler.
No, but I'm having
Things from
this peach
scratch, man.
cobbler. I'm having this peach cobbler made for me, bro. I mean, that peach
That's my
cobbler that I'm gonna be
point.
picking
Point
up
exactly.
is gonna be baked fresh because I met this
When
young
are
lady.
you gonna make something on your own,
No, I
man? You
don't need
gotta
to
go
make
buy
nothing.
a
I don't
turkey.
need to make nothing. Why are you trying to put that pressure on me?
We realize you're rich and everything, but damn, when you gonna make something of your own, man? Do something for yourself, man. Listen, I get greens made from scratch. I get cornbread made from scratch. I get smothered chicken wings, turkey wings, all made from scratch. Quit buying that stuff, man. Start putting in some work.
Well,
Buys everything, man. I know it's fortunate when you can afford to go buy stuff and pick up stuff. So take the time and make something of your very own. Do that instead of boiling hot dogs and eggs. You boil eggs, you eat those, and then you boil hot dogs, you eat those. But something of an entree. I mean, broccoli. Do something in there on your own, man. You got that big fancy kitchen and you never use it.
you got a good point there. because I'm a busy man, by the way. Styling and profiling. So let's get into some of the topics we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, first and foremost, Brian Kelly, who was fired over a week ago by the LSU Tigers. He is owed $54 million. We're going to cover that one. Supposedly he refused to even negotiate anything below that, which I do not blame him whatsoever, because he should get $54 million until 2031. That's well deserved to Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly got fired. It was out of his control, and he don't have nothing to do with that. Just pay the man his money, go about your business, and set up the next coach that come into LSU, whoever that may be. Because at the end of the day, when you sign these contracts, don't try to wiggle your way out of it. Second topic we're going to be talking about is college football upsets of the weekend. We got a new one, we got a new number 2. Indiana popped up to number 2. They're right up under Ohio State. It's going to be a showdown at some point. They're going to have to play Ohio State, and we'll give our takes on what we think is going to happen with that outcome of that game. If once it takes place, because more than likely, I think it probably might take place in the Big Ten championship. But a lot of other teams got a lot to say about that as well. We're going to be talking about some potential Heisman candidates, and we'll go down the list of those folks. They're a bunch of quarterbacks, a running back, and we had another person pose over the weekend for the Heisman Trophy, and we'll chime in on whether this person, player, I'm not going to call him a person, he should be called a player, should be considered for the Heisman Trophy. We're going to be going into the NBA news. I got Najee here today. I'm very comfortable with him being here to walk us along with the NBA news. We're going to be going over some NFL news. A coach was just recently let go. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the standings, because we're rolling right into December. College football playoffs, NFL playoffs, and the NBA is just getting, hitting the ground running. So we'll be talking about that as well. So sit back, relax, enjoy this ride with us today, because we finna give you everything you've been looking for here. We give props to other podcasts, but we giving our podcast number 1 props, because we got the best podcast on the internet, in my opinion. So I'm going to end with that, and I'm going to ask these 2 gentlemen right here, my 2 kinfolk, where this party at? Where the party at?
Straight here. I told you
the party
it was here
is
last
right
week.
here.
Next year, 2026, baby, we coming. Yes, this is the spot.
Absolutely. So let's kick it in gear and let's talk about Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly was terminated, and he had a massive contract. It was a 10-year deal. So when these schools sign these coaches for 10 years or anywhere close over 5 years, you would think that they're thinking in the long term of keeping this coach that amount of time, at least from my perspective. Unfortunately, a lot of people and a lot of support mechanisms for schools, like the fan base and the administration and people who, fund the program, because a lot of these programs are funded by private donors. Some, programs are funded by other means, but it's usually the alumni that come back and they put money into the program. And I know a little bit how it works, because they ask you to donate. The more you donate, the more closer you can get to the program. And if you're a top-notch donator, you can sit and have dinner with the coaches. You can meet the president of the schools. You can pretty much parlay what you want. Let's just say you kick down $1 million to any program of your choice.
As much as fly on a plane with them, DC.
Exactly. And you can fly on the plane with them, because that has been proven fact as well. We've had some background experience on that. So I want to start out with you, Isaiah, and ask you, okay, so Brian Kelly, it's been sourced that it's been alleged that Brian Kelly does not want to negotiate any type of settlement below that $54 million. Do you think it's fair that he should settle with LSU, or he should keep his $54 million? By the way, until 2031, he'll be on payroll.
Well, they got to honor the contract, DC. You know how that works. And if they want to do any penny less than that, that's immoral. You signed a contract, and that was to bind this guy in for 10 years. And if you chose to can him, he didn't quit. If he would have quit, that's one thing. But if you fired him, you the one breached the contract. You the one fired the guy. So pay this man every single penny you owe him. And if you need to go replace him with somebody else, that's on you because you fired him. Don't bend or break Brian Kelly. Don't bend. Don't even
I totally
bend.
agree. And we're talking directly to Brian Kelly on this show. You get your $54 million. That's your money. They signed that contract. I don't want to hear about who said that the AD shouldn't have signed for this amount of money. It was a 10-year, $95 million contract. Brian Kelly is due $54 million. That money should be on, he should be on payroll until 2031. So Najee, I'm going to go to you next. Does Brian Kelly deserve to get every penny of this money?
Well, just like you guys said, man. I mean, if they breach it, why is he gonna one going to take the penalty? I don't want to take no penalty because guess what? They're gonna make the money regardless, and they're gonna give it to somebody else anyway. So go ahead and get this man his money that he deserved, and that's all really what it is, man. Because you're not gonna take it unless the only way that was gonna happen is unless they was gonna try to give him more years, and then he take a little less or whatever. But other than that, if you're gonna fire him and get rid of him. No, you're gonna get that man his money, get what he's due, and what y'all both came to an agreement on.
Yeah, because if you look at the terms of any type of contract, and a contract is considered binding, and binding in the terms that once two people or a group of people or however many people is involved sit down and they agree to a contract, they put it in writing, and once they put it in writing. It's a signature-based contract. Sometimes you can get verbal contracts, but verbal contracts usually is not very advisable because anything can happen. People could say, look, I didn't tell you this, or I didn't say that I was going to commit to this. But when you have a signed contract and the language in the contract is specific language, right?
And witnesses and notaries and everything else got to be,
So whatever the AD does, and this AD has been linked with Texas A&M. He was at Texas A&M and he helped sign Jimbo Fisher to a $75 million plus contract with all of the other little, incentives around this particular contract. And Texas A&M had to eat a lot of that money, majority of it. I think they had to pay out Jimbo Fisher the whole amount. But that doesn't matter whether this athletic director was involved in that transaction or not. He was involved in the transaction at LSU of pulling Brian Kelly out of Notre Dame. And Brian Kelly was happy at Notre Dame. I didn't see him, throwing his name out there every coaching opening. Did you guys see him throw his name in it? The head of every coaching opening? You couldn't ask for a better job than to have that Notre Dame job. And that Florida State job. So those are the two most enticing jobs, I would say, for a college football coach in coaching, and USC, of course, because these programs have a lot of history behind them. But one thing is for sure, if LSU refuses to pay this money out that they owe this man, they're going to be sued. And once they get sued, they're going to have to go to court. And then a judge will determine whether Brian Kelly is due this $54 million because he did not ask to get fired. He did not, as far as I could see, I don't think he did anything specific to get fired. They were having a bad year. So they pulled the trigger on him. They pulled the plug on him. And they're on the hook once they do that. And that's just all I'm going to kind of leave it at, because at the end of the day, it's all based on decisions from the school. I don't care what the school has to pay. I don't think he's going to go that far, though, DC. I don't think they're dumb enough to take this guy to court. I don't think they're dumb enough to take Brian Kelly to court. And I'm going to tell you why. You take him to court, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. You are going to lose. You're going to lose. Now you're going to get caught with legal fees and all of that stuff. And those legal fees aren't cheap. So they're not going to take him to court. What they're doing right now
is just playing a cat and mouse game with him and see if he'll go for it. But if I was you, Brian Kelly, I would let it drip, drip, drip. Even if you go to the 2031, give me all my money. If you got to pay me in installments, give me my money. And that's how it all is going to play out. And I guarantee they're not taking him to court, DC. He's not going to have to sue him for his money.
Well, according to
They're going to
this,
pay him.
and this is just alleged information here coming from sources. Basically, LSU, I guess, is trying to claim now that they fired him for cause, and cause is a
What's the
different.
call?
Now, when they fire people for cause, they can pretty much kind of negotiate to the level that he might not be able to get the entire amount. But what is cause? I mean, did you fire him because he was losing and the team wasn't performing on the field? Or did you fire him about a scandal? Or did you fire him about something that he broke rules at the school? And that kind of, makes the contract come down to the level where they can dictate how much they want to pay him going out the door. Wouldn't you say that, Isaiah?
Yeah, but that's a bogus cause. They fired the guy because they wasn't satisfied with his record, and that's point blank. And there's no other way to put it, DC. And they ain't gonna have to pay the guy. I mean, they can bring up all these new slippery stuff that they're bringing up right now. It ain't gonna hold up in court, man.
No,
I mean,
no.
it's just not gonna work. And they need to go ahead and quit playing and get a guy his money, let him go on about his business, and then turn
And
and
bring in the
go.
next coach and sign
Yeah,
him
that's
to a
all they should
90
do.
to $100 million
Yeah.
contract, right?
Yeah, but what they're trying to do is use part of his money to pay the next guy, and that ain't gonna happen because Brian Kelly need to stick to his morals and don't even move. Just steadfast, Brian Kelly. You're gonna get all what's due to you. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we'll keep an eye out for that one because that one's going to be kind of hot off the presser and everything. So we'll keep an eye out for that one. Let's move on to college football because we got a lot to talk about with college football from this weekend. Looks like the new top 25 is out, but we're interested in the top 12. And as you can see, excuse me, I'm drinking because my throat is a little bit dry. Ohio State's still sitting at 1. Indiana sitting at 2. Texas A&M is at 3. Alabama's 4. Georgia's 5. Ole Miss is 6. Oregon is 7. And Texas Tech is 8. Notre Dame is 9. And Texas is 10. Oklahoma is 11. And BYU is 12. How do you guys, or should I say, I'll start out with you, Isaiah. How do you feel about this current level of top 12 if the playoffs were to start today?
Well, I read a couple of things last night, and they brought up the mere fact that Notre Dame, which a team that Miami Hurricanes beat in the beginning of the season, and here it is, 2 games apiece. Both of them lost 2 games, and the Miami Hurricanes are sitting at 18, and Notre Dame is at 10, which they clearly don't figure that's fair because here's a team that got beat by the team that's 18 and they're 10. It's kind of lopsided, man, and I agree with that. Now, in terms of the rest of them, it remains to be seen when the playoffs starts because Indiana, even though I think they're good and they got well coached and they're winning, and of course because they're number 2, but I think when it's really getting the clutch of it, I don't think they're going to be able to do it. And that's the same thing with BYU. BYU, we talked about them last week as being this team that don't make mistakes and they just do everything right. But they're not that talented. They just win because they counter off of you. When you do something wrong, they'll capitalize off of it. And that's a sign of a good team and well-coached team, but they don't really have no real standout athletes on their team. They don't have these athletes where they're contending for the Heisman Trophy. Their name is not, talked about with the different individual players. None of that stuff. They just continue to win. And this week they got beat. So we'll see how all this thing pan out. I mean, the list as it goes right now, I can agree with it, with the exception of the fact that the Canes are 18 and Notre Dame is 10. So that part I just disagree with. But when the playoffs starts, we'll see how all this thing pans out. They'll start dropping these teams that shouldn't be around. They'll be exposed. Yeah.
So my question to you is this. on that, what you just explained about Notre Dame. And I'm not defending Notre Dame because I don't follow Notre Dame, nor do I care about Notre Dame as a program. My thing is Notre Dame has won out since those first two losses. They haven't lost a game. They've been pretty dominant with the way they've won as well. So Miami dropped 2 games. They dropped one to Louisville and they dropped one to SMU. The one to Louisville, to me, Miami struggled the whole game trying to get ahead, which they never led in that game. Now, I didn't watch the SMU game. So my main question to you is this: how would you not feel like Notre Dame possibly belongs where they are right now? How do you feel about Notre Dame being in a position? And I know you just said what you thought about it, but both teams has 2 losses. Miami lost a little bit later into the season. Does that make a difference?
Well, yeah, it makes a huge difference because it's those late games. Remember back in the day, even before all this stuff with the playoff occurred, if you lose a game late, you pretty much out of it. And that's why you remember we had a couple callers last week. DC was talking about Miami is not out of it, and I said they clearly don't have a path. They're my team, and I don't
Correct.
see a path for them, man, because they lost these games that they should have won, and they lost them late in the season. So Miami is my team all the way. But I just do not see a clear path for them to get in this playoff, man, because they lost to teams that they should have smothered,
Mm-hmm.
and they lost home games. And that right there just don't sit well with the ones who's doing these polls and putting these teams together in for the playoffs. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
think they're going to be there. I honestly don't. I don't see how they're going to wiggle our way back in the playoffs. From 18, they can win out. The rest of them, and they got North Carolina State coming up, and North Carolina State, NC State is playing pretty good. We just got to go in there and handle everything
They
else
got
and
to
see
handle
how.
everything in
Yep.
their control, within their control, because
Mm-hmm.
they're sitting at number 16 right now at 7-2. So if they control everything in front of them and they handily handle NC State, because I think for them to get considered, they're going to have to win dominantly moving through the last part of this season for them, I would say, and win in a more dominant fashion where they can show the voters and the people who are voting for these teams to be in this top 12 can take
That's the
notice to
only way
that.
they can get in the conversation,
And
DC.
that's
That's
the
the
only way they're
only
going
way.
to be able to get into
Yeah.
the conversation. Otherwise,
Yep.
they're going to be on the outside looking in.
Looking in, just looking for a decent bowl to go to. That's it.
And I agree with you totally 100%. So let's go back to the top of this AP poll right here. You're looking at 3 undefeated teams, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4,
Just only lost one, right?
5. You got 5 teams that's only lost 1. That right
See,
there in itself,
close the door
none of
on you.
these teams just sitting at all the way down to number 6 can afford to lose anything moving forward. I mean, and then I'm thinking that these teams are going to X out each other at some point because Indiana is going to have to face off against Ohio State and that Ohio State defense. And then if they can get past Ohio State, I'm talking about specifically Indiana, if they can get beyond Ohio State, I believe that Indiana will be the team to beat and they will possibly be in the national championship. I'm not making a 100% prediction on that, but I do believe that if these two teams meet and they play each other and Indiana can win that game, that's going to be a big win for Indiana because that'll probably pole vault Indiana possibly to number 1. Now, here's Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, and Ole Miss. So Texas A&M is in the SEC East. I mean the SEC West. So Mississippi is in the SEC West. Alabama is in the SEC West. So at some point in time, these teams are going to be playing each other. And I can't leave out Texas because Texas is still alive. You know, they're still competing to stay into this top 12 because they just moved up. And Notre Dame is at number 9. And then you can't count out Texas Tech because they dominantly won and they beat
What's Texas
BYU
record,
handily.
DC?
They beat BYU handily.
What's Texas record?
Texas record is
7-2?
7-2.
Ooh,
Yeah, they're 7-2.
man.
And the
Wow. Where
scheduling
are
is
they sitting? Where are they
At number
sitting on
10.
the polls?
Number 10.
Oh man,
Yeah. So
boy, there's
that's
a
going to be
lot of going.
interesting to see these teams play each other. And Oklahoma is still in the running too, because if you look at Oklahoma's chances, they're at number 11 right now. They can't afford to lose any more games. And then you look at BYU sitting at number 12. They fell 4 down. And BYU, let's just say they run the table and they lose 1. I don't care who BYU beat moving through the rest of this season. If they have to face any of those top teams up at the top, more than likely they're gonna come up short, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Because you just spot on buttoned it up that it's a matter of fact that once they play superior teams, it's not gonna make mistakes like them, and they got more superior athletes in all different areas. BYU is going to be challenged on that. Najee, do you have anything to chime in on any of this about?
Well, just like I was really actually about to say, but Isaiah kind of covered it. Yeah, so you can say, yeah, they both records are similar, but just like you also said, DC, like they lost those games early. These guys are losing games late, and they're
Correct.
losing games so they should not have not lost. And they're in Texas. The other team, they're Notre Dame. They are winning games that they probably was not even favored to win. Because I think if you look at their schedule, they probably played tougher games and they won them. While the Canes played lesser teams and lost those games.
that be.
So that definitely plays a part. That plays a part.
It does. It really does. I mean, I think it plays a major part, and we'll see what happens because you can't count out Oregon either. I mean, Oregon is still a very dominant team. Oregon still have the mojo to work their way back up because they've only lost 1. And it's going to be interesting. They're sitting at number 7 right now. So as we move forward, I just think these two Texas teams with A&M and with Texas Tech, because I saw Texas Tech a little bit against BYU, and Texas Tech looked very, very solid. They look solid as a rock.
Yeah.
I think their coach name is Joey McGuire. He's done a fantastic job at Texas Tech. And, they're going to be something to be contended with, as well as Mike Elko at Texas A&M. Texas A&M is sitting undefeated. So if you look at Texas A&M's schedule coming up, it's going to be interesting because it looks like their next game is at South Carolina or versus South Carolina. So I'm assuming they're home since it doesn't say it says they're at South Carolina. They're at Samford, and they're home against Texas. So they have 3 more games. They could potentially finish undefeated if you think about it. Samford is a small school, so I don't see them giving Texas A&M any problems, right? And then you look at South Carolina, they're still finding their way out of the SEC East. And then you look at that Texas game. Now, that's going to be a showdown because that's kind of like who's going to be the king of Texas. You got University of Texas, UT, and then you got Texas A&M. That's always been a big rivalry. So I'm going to see how Mike Elko fares because we were talking about coaches of the year. I mean, he would be a solid candidate, and his name wasn't even on that list. So it's going to be interesting to see how things goes, right? So I'm here looking at, let's move on to something else. Is embattled Norvell, FSU will win a title in the near future. You think he's going to be there for him to win it, Isaiah?
Nah.
FSU's Mike Norvell says the Seminoles will win a title in the near future. Is that in his control?
They might be talking about basketball. You reading the same thing?
I'm reading football.
They ain't finna win nothing else, man. They gonna get rid of Norvell. I like Norvell, man.
I like him too. I think he's a great coach.
Listen, man.
I think he's done a good job at Florida State since he's been there. He just have had bad luck over the last two years, I would say.
Man, listen, man. All of my buddies in the Panhandle, they used to be twisting my arm because I'm a Cane. I like FSU when they're not playing the Canes, man. But this thing right here is not going to work. His season has diminished dramatically. from the second year or third year he was there, he was winning. He was on the top of his game. And it seemed like that year that they did not let them go in that playoff and they swapped out teams, he's been going downhill from there. You know, he's never recouped from there. I mean, he had quarterback issues, he had severe injuries, and a lot of personnel changes and stuff. And I think he let go of some coaches and stuff. But now it's his time to go down. Dude,
Yeah.
Florida State
I have
can't
to
continue to
second
lose
you
like
to
this.
that, but he's doubling down because I think he feels confident that he will get another year. If he's talking like this, I would think he feels confident enough. Or maybe he's been reassured. I mean, we don't know because we're not there and we don't see some of the things that's going on inside of that program. But if he's doubling down right now, saying that they will win a championship in the very near future,
That don't mean
Najee,
it
wouldn't
was
you
going to be
think?
with him.
I'm gonna ask Najee, wouldn't you think that he done been reassured by someone, or is he just
He's propping himself up, man.
he pumping himself up? Am I right,
Yeah.
Najee? Well, he lost to Clemson, and Clemson is not knocking anything
Yeah,
out of the
it
park.
looks like
Well,
it looked like
right.
it's a trend. It looked like it's a trend because I remember I told you early in the season, like, bro, it looked like a lot of these guys going to get fired. So let him be confident and talk, and maybe it will work in his favor. We don't know, but just like Isaiah said, they have been on a down. They've been on the decline ever since that was their second, third year already. Who's what the future can bring
DC.
up, bro?
Remember, we thought that Florida coach was going to at least they was going to at least respect him enough to let him
Billy
finish out the
Napier.
year. Napier, they can't.
Exactly, exactly,
They gonna
exactly,
probably let Norville just finish the year because they got a tad more respect for him because he took them so far in those other years. But right now,
exactly.
man, it just don't look good. Florida State is not accustomed to riding out these bad seasons like this, man. They're gonna get rid of you. Come on, man, think about it. They did the same thing with Bobby Bowden. As much as they love Bobby Bowden, as much as
Yeah, he got shoved out at
prosperity
the
he's doing,
on the
he
very
got
tail end
shoved
of
out
everything.
too.
Yeah,
Yes, because they started losing, and Florida State just got that tradition where they are contending for championships, man, and they're not gonna go for a coach that's losing, and there's no like clear end in sight of this, to make it better.
hmm
Clemson is in the doghouse right now. You know they are, and they beat him. Man, he's gone. They're not keeping
yeah.
him around. I would be
I
super
agree with
surprised if
you.
he make it out of here another year.
I agree with you unless there's something that we don't know about that's inside that program. And I know you got connections up in the Panhandle, so reach out to some of your peeps up there and see what they know. Because if they know something and they're inside or
Hey,
close to
I'm gonna
people that
tell
are
you right
inside,
now,
they can tell you
DC,
some things
they're
that we don't
quiet,
know.
man. They're quiet. They're quiet. They're quiet, and that means something's getting ready to happen. Because they're not saying anything, man. You remember how they was chastising me years ago, DC? My phone was ringing like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and them teasing me about my Canes losing, and they were hot. Man, FSU was on fire at that time, man. They were just cleaning people's clock, and now everybody's quiet, man. They super quiet. They're not texting, they're not calling, they're not emailing, they're
They're
not
not doing
doing
anything, right?
anything. No, nada.
So
Man, that
far they
yard.
have lost 5 games. They've won 1, 2, 3, 4. So they've lost 5 games and they've won 4 games. And it looks like their next opponent is Virginia Tech. I'm going to go ahead and give them that one. And then they play NC State. Now that can be a toss up because NC State has been playing a lot better lately. We'll see how they
Well, DC,
measure up against
they could
Miami this
potentially go
coming weekend.
500, man. They could potentially go 500, man.
Yeah. And
If you
then
look
it's
at
the
it, they
big
can
showdown
potentially.
with Florida, and they're at Florida. They were in the swamp at Florida for their
Man, what if
last
Florida
game.
beat them? That's gonna be something else.
Yeah,
If Florida turn around and beat them, he's definitely gone, bro. He's
right.
definitely gone. Because they was already pissed off when the Miami Hurricanes beat them, and the Hurricanes was hot at the time. They hadn't
Correct.
lost a game. So listen, man, if Florida beat them, they might ship them out the same day. Just bring your little briefcase, your overnight bag, and all that stuff, man. You gone. If Florida beat them, he's gone, man. That's
Mm-hmm.
without a doubt. Because
And
Florida is having their issues themselves, and if they turn around and beat FSU, he's not gonna make it another year.
So let me give you two games in this rotation that they won. They won against East Texas A&M, and they won against Kent State up in Ohio. I mean, you can just you can just, I would just slash those games out because those were just tune-up games, right?
Yeah, that's
so
exactly what it
even
was.
if he still end up 5-5 or whatever the case may be, he may end up 500. It's going to be interesting to see when they call him in and talking about an improvement plan like they were trying to do with Mark Richt. And Mark Richt say, "Are you kidding me? I'll walk the hell up out of here. I ain't filling out nothing on how this team is going to be performing next year. I don't need to be here." That's what Mark Richt told Miami when they were talking about an improvement plan, right?
If Norvell takes a deal like that, man, if he does something that
he'll get canned in the middle of the year next year if they go the direction, if in fact they let him stay, right?
If they even offer him a deal like that, he's soft as butter, bro. It ain't nowhere in the world with my pride and as a man and as a coach that you're going to offer me some incentives like that. If I don't do this, that, and the other, I'm gone. Man, I would just walk out the damn door. You ain't finna do me like I'm a brand new coach.
I'm going to throw it out there like that. I'm not saying it's going to happen like that, but I'm just throwing it out there from my perspective that at the end of the year, they always talking about evaluating these programs, the administrators and the AD and everybody else, right? So at the end of the day, if he survives, it would be a miracle. If he doesn't survive, we predicted it, right?
Listen, man, he's not surviving this thing, man. I mean, definitely if Florida beat him, he won't.
Right.
And if they do give him another year, I'm going to be so surprised. I am, because this what's going on right now is unacceptable in the eyes
of the people who follow FSU. Florida State up in FSU. Yeah.
Yep.
So let's move on to this next topic, and we will come back to this topic because we're going to be keeping an eye on all of these teams going into this coming weekend that's coming up, and it's getting really interesting. It's more interesting now than ever. Let's talk about the Heisman run right now, and I'm going to start out with Najee on this. We have quite a few quarterbacks on this list, and I'm going to go down this list as I see it, and I'm going to ask you. It might be too early to predict who can win the Heisman because to me, I haven't seen a player stick out enough for me to even the Heisman front runners for 2025. But would you say that, because if you look at it, I'm going to just give you the front runners right now. Julian Sayin is the quarterback for Ohio State. They're undefeated. He's having a really phenomenal season. You got Fernando Mendoza. He plays for Indiana. He was at Cal, and he lost that game against Miami when Cam Ward was there a year ago. He's lighting it up right now. You got Ty Simpson from Alabama. I'm a big Ty Simpson supporter because Ty Simpson has done some things this year that has impressed me. You got Jeremiah Smith, the stud out of Miami, who play wide receiver. And you got Marcel Reed, the quarterback for Texas A&M, and he is very dynamic. And then you have Garrett Nussmeier, Cade Klubnik, Jeremiah Love, Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt, and Carson Beck's name is on this list. So who would you say that would be a front runner to you, Najee, off the top? Would you know about?
Well, if you asked me this about 3-4 weeks ago, I would have definitely said Carson because the way how the Canes was playing, especially right after they just lost Cam Ward, and you would think that it would be some type of fall off, but they actually were playing better than last season. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna go with you gonna have to say I'm biased because I'm an Alabama fan when it comes to college football. So I'm gonna have to pick Ty because they're playing phenomenal. They're playing phenomenal, and this is what they doing this without Nick Saban.
Yeah.
So guess what?
Kalen DeBoer has done a fantastic job.
Because not only he's doing good this season, but then now they're playing in a different. They playing different roles now because they're not playing under the same coach. So guess what? Not only you learning something new, but you also learning something new and doing it well. That's why I'm gonna give him the edge.
Okay, so if you were voting, you would give him the edge. So I'm going to ask Isaiah right now, out of the names that I mentioned, who would you go with right now? Or is it too early for you? Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana, Julian Sayin out of Ohio State, Ty Simpson out of Alabama, Jeremiah Smith, and I would give Jeremiah Smith my vote, of course. But his body of work, I'd have to look at all of his stats overall for this year. Otherwise, I'm gonna go with one of these quarterbacks. And then you look at Marcel Reed, that brother who played for Texas A&M, and he's very dynamic runner. He can throw, and his intelligence level is way up there. Who would you say that you would think about voting for if you was a voter?
Well, I always thought it was too early right now, but Mendoza would be my pick, man, because Mendoza, he was great at Cal. I watched him play the Hurricanes, and man, if they did anything better, with that team at the time, I mean, they would have won because he was clicking on all cylinders, man, and that's why I think he got up out of the Cal because as good as he was, and they were losing. I mean, he was playing like a stud and they were losing. So he was like, man, let me get out of here because the Hurricanes somehow passed this guy up. And he
Yeah, I
went
was
over
just
the
getting ready
top.
to mention that they didn't even
And
recruit him out of
wow,
high school, right?
right. And that I just couldn't believe they let him get out of here. But he's the guy now, man. And I think he would be my pick if I was to pick it today, which I do not want to pick anything because it's just too early. But if I was going to be balled down to pick today, it would be Mendoza, without a
And
question.
he followed his father's footsteps. He went to Columbus
Yes.
and he played at Columbus. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
really shocked that Miami didn't look at him a little bit
Yeah.
closer as
Yeah.
well. Because how do you let a talent like that get out from under you in your backyard? That's hard
And
for
he's
me
a
to
quarterback,
understand.
DC. This guy is a stand-up pocket quarterback, and he will pick you apart. All he needs is a
Yeah,
tad of
as long as
time,
that pocket
and
is
he will
clean,
pick you
he's
apart.
good.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Um,
Very smart player, man. Know how to read defenses and
Intelligence
everything.
level is way
Yep.
up there, right? Because technically, like you
Mm-hmm.
said with Cal, I think if they didn't have Cam Ward that game, they would have lost that Cal game because Cal's
Mm-hmm.
defense was all over Miami's offense for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Cam Ward and the wide receiver, what's his name? The little kid,
Shuffle.
Restrepo. They
Yeah.
did some big things in that
Mm-hmm.
game. And
Mm-hmm.
Mendoza came up short, but Mendoza did everything that he needed to do to win that
Anything he could
game for
possibly
Cal,
do.
right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Let me just tell you, I agree with you with Fernando Mendoza. If I was voting, I would vote for Fernando Mendoza because Fernando Mendoza is solid. I think he's the top quarterback now. Ohio State fans and people who support that program are going to go for Julian Sayin because Julian Sayin has done a phenomenal job. Him and Jeremiah Smith he's throwing it to Jeremiah Smith. So we'll see how that plays out. But I do have a question here. It looks like a star linebacker for Texas Tech named Jacob Rodriguez, and he's a super, super talented linebacker. I didn't know much about Rodriguez until I was watching College Game Day this past weekend. It looks like during the game, he struck a Heisman pose. Now, I'm not saying Jacob Rodriguez it thinks he can win the Heisman. I'm just saying when you strike a Heisman pose like that, you do have some confidence level, I would think, that there could be some consideration. Now, let me just say this. I have not known a linebacker to win or even be in the running for a Heisman as far back as I can remember other than Hugh Green. Do you remember when Hugh Green was considered a Heisman candidate, Isaiah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you think a linebacker and Jacob Rodriguez could be added to this list of Heisman candidates if, in fact, he do believe and the voters do believe that he belonged there?
So I can add my name to the list. That don't mean I'm going to win. That's what he's doing. He's just adding this. He just want to be on there. Listen, man. As much as we watch college football, I just really realized who he was when he struck that pose up, man. And then Tagliabue, I think that was his name. He was the
Manti
only other
Te'o.
one. Yeah, he was the only one in the last like 10 years of linebackers that was elevated to that type of talk, of being a Heisman Trophy winner. And he was a demon out there, man. So how in the world a demon got his name on, and this guy just throwed his name in? Everybody know who Manti Te'o was, man. Everybody.
Oh,
Because
Manti
this
Te'o
guy will
was a
greet
very
you.
exceptional linebacker.
Man. He will greet you, man. I'm telling you. You got to go get some smelling salt to see where you are when he greets you in that hole. And
Absolutely.
this other guy we were talking about, I never even heard of him to this week.
Jacob Rodriguez. So let me kick off some of his stats.
I'm gonna be watching him. I'm gonna be
Yes.
watching him from here on out.
So let me drop these stats on you from his 2025 season. He's got 48 solo tackles, 1 sack, and whatever FF means. I don't know the terminology for that, and I'll look that up. But he has 3 interceptions right now as we speak. Are those numbers, Najee? Let me ask Najee this. Are those numbers good enough for him to be added?
That's FF is forced fumble.
Forced fumble. Okay. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for correcting me on that. So he's got
How many
7 forced
fumbles you had,
fumbles.
BC? How many? 7?
7.
Okay, that's good. That's like a
I
one a
mean, he's getting
game.
one. He's getting one almost basically every game.
Every
Man.
game. Yeah, that's one a game.
So is that good enough? Would you think that he could technically turn around and be on that list at some point and get some votes? Because I'm pretty sure he would get some votes if he was on the list, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, when it comes to football, basketball, they really lean on to offense. Nobody's really paying attention to
True.
defense like that.
Yes.
So that's why you'll get running back, receiver, you'll get
Quarterback.
quarterback, you get all those positions before they even think about a defensive player. So I mean, they probably will even mention a tight end before a linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. One
Absolutely.
thing I was going to say about it, DC, is another category. If he can get defensive player of the year, he might get something like that. But they're not giving him the Heisman, man.
Or
You
at
got to
least
be
consideration,
electrifying.
right?
Yeah, you got to be electrifying to get a Heisman Trophy, man. You got to be one of the guys who, the moment you sit down and turn on your TV on Saturday, you looking at the favorite receiver or quarterback or running back that just go off. He's not a player who just going to just make you run home and hurry up and get there, or record the thing while you're not home to watch it. He's not that type of guy. You got to
Mm-hmm.
be electrifying. I'm telling you, you got to be a game breaker to be, the Heisman Trophy winner. And he's not a game breaker. These forced fumbles and all that stuff is really good for him as a defensive player. But it's not to say you're the best collegiate player in the league of the college football. You're not. He's not. It's just too many other people. And all of these quarterbacks there in front of him, they're not giving him that thing, man. These quarterbacks are game breakers where you could drop back and throw an 80-yard touchdown. That's more electrifying than the guy forced fumble, even if he got a pick six. That's not more electrifying than you drop by and threw an 80-yard pass.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Just look at his NIL. That'll tell a story. How much NIL money he's making.
I
If he
can look
gets,
it up.
because they reward you that way, he can get paid that way. But in terms of getting that Heisman, they're not giving him that. Yep.
So it looks like his NIL deal right now, according to On3, which they keep stats of that
Yeah.
right now. It doesn't even say right here what his
I
NIL
wonder if he's
is.
got it. I wonder if he's got any. He's probably DC's promoting for it by putting that
That could
Heisman
be
trophy. He's
possible.
promoting
That could
himself.
be possible.
That's what he's doing.
Yes,
He's
that
saying,
could be
"Where's the
potentially
money?"
possible. Yeah, that could be a big thing for him, and he's only building his own brand up. You know what I mean?
He's got to. Yeah, he's got to put himself in the conversation. Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's kind of close it out with college. It looks like Dollar Bill Belichick has won his second game by winning in Chapel Hill. Is that a big deal for him or
That's
not?
it. Hell yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for dollar bill, man. You crazy? He probably got tipped off that night, man. His little 28-year-old almost a grandbaby, but his girlfriend probably hooked him up that night, man. Shit, he won the second game, man. You crazy?
Well, they beat
Yeah.
Stanford, so is that a big win for him or not?
Any game he win is a big deal, DC. You know that because, man,
What
um,
what they standing and what their record is, any win
any game is
is
a big
very
deal. Yes.
valuable. I don't care
Yep.
if he was playing little league, bro. A
Yeah.
W is a W that counts that he needs.
Hmm. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. So let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk a little bit about the NBA. We're going to talk a little bit about Lenny Wilkens. Lenny Wilkens to me was a legendary coach. He was a player's coach. For every player that I remember talking about
Yeah.
when Lenny Wilkens, they talked very fondly of him. I remember when I was living in Atlanta back in the 80s and he coached the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah.
We lost him over the weekend, and to me, it was a big loss for NBA
Yeah.
basketball. I'm going to ask Najee, what do you think about Lenny Wilkens' accomplishments in the NBA while he was coaching and while he was involved in the NBA?
Well, from what I know, that he was at least one of the first players that turned into a head coach. I don't really know too much about him because he was like almost 90 years old. But he's one of those older guys that made an imprint and had created a legacy that people that follow him from different eras of baskbasketball. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I do know from. But when you want to talk about, how dominant he was as a player, I can't really give you that because he's older than my grandfather.
I believe he was
Yeah.
81 when he passed away. And our condolences go out to Lenny Wilkens' family because we
Nah,
don't like
88.
lose. He was 88.
88. He's up
88.
there.
88. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, 88. I was looking at another number that said 81. Thanks for correcting that. So here's his total coaching wins and losses. Total regular season wins 1,332. Total regular season losses 1,155. Total playoff wins losses 80 and 98. He won an NBA championship with the 1979 Seattle Supersonics. He was the coach of the year in 1994 for the Atlanta Hawks. And he was first to reach 1,000 wins. He became the first NBA coach to reach 1,000 victories in 1996. I think that was pretty impressive, don't you, Isaiah?
Yeah. I mean, he was a pioneer, DC, without a doubt, man. I mean, the reason why I love this story and his body of work so much is not only he was just always this well-groomed, handsome guy who, always had something positive and good to do and say and to the players, and he was just flat out pioneer of the
And he
game.
was soft spoken,
And,
right? You
and
didn't
yeah,
hear him
yeah, you
ever
never heard
get.
any scandal, none of
I
that
never
crap
heard him
about
in a
him, man.
scandal or raise his
Yeah,
voice actually during a game.
yeah, yeah, man. And he coached on some really good teams, man. And he just like faded away in the sunset. It was not like he got fired and everybody was a big old
Yeah, I
thing.
think he
He
did.
just
He
slowly but
retire.
surely went away. He just slowly but surely went away. He just went out or just drifted away. And nobody knew whether he got fired or retired or what. He just got away from the game. I don't know whether he was sick and left, and I don't know what happened to him. He just drifted away. But he
Hmm.
was this guy who set the standard for the Doc Rivers and the rest of these guys
That's
who's
true.
coaching
He
now,
he he
man.
led the
Because
way and opened up the door for
yes,
those guys, right?
yeah,
Because I want to say Doc Rivers
absolutely.
played for him at some point. I'm not 100% sure of that because Doc Rivers played for the Atlanta Hawks. I remember when
I think
Doc
Doc
Rivers
Rivers
was
was on
there.
that team, if I'm not mistaken, DC. I'm almost thinking that he was on that team.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because you had Tree Rollins and you had a lot of good players. Dominic Wilkins was on that team, and you had some really solid players on that Atlanta Hawks team back then, and the human slam dunk I call Dominique Wilkins one of the best slam dunkers I've ever seen. And I've seen some good ones. I've seen Dr. J, I've seen Michael Jordan, I've seen a lot of good super dunkers, but Dominique Wilkins was a very good one when he was playing. So here's Lenny Wilkens' executive career. He was the general manager for the Seattle Supersonics from 1985 to 1986. During his stint at GM, he drafted future All-Star Xavier McDaniel. I'm pretty sure you remember him, Isaiah. He played for the Lakers in the later part of his career. He was considered an enforcer, kind of a really muscular-looking guy who played forward, power forward. And then he hired Coach Bernie Bickerstaff, which stayed in the league for a long time as well. And he was in the broadcasting booth for FSN. So we send our warmest condolences to the Lenny Wilkens family, because he was definitely a pioneer, and he did a lot for the NBA. We appreciate everything he's done for the NBA up until this point. And then once he left, I mean, he's still involved in, just made his support for the league, right? So let's move on to this next topic, and I'm going to just ask Najee, what is the latest and greatest basketball news right now in the league? I know Kevin Durant and them guys, they got into a fight with another team. I don't know which team, but if you can break that down for us, we appreciate it. Victor Wembanyama, he's getting more dominant, and anything else that's going on in the NBA?
Well, if you want to really talk about Wemby actually struggling right now, man. He's like I had him going for a game that he was going to drop like 30 on the I think it was the Trailblazers, and he finished with 9. But I tell you, he pissed me off that game, bro. But when you talk about he's actually understanding the game a lot more, especially on the defensive side. The only thing is he has to understand when to pick his time in the game to be dominant. Like sometimes, a lot of times, good players struggle to do that. Like they're going to just go at them because they're better than the rest of the team. But he still needs to learn how to when to pick and choose when to just completely take over. Now he does have the Aaron Fox that he just came back from his blood clots last year, because him and Wemby was the two players that had blood clots last season. But I feel like they're gonna be dominant because they still second, third in the West. Even when they just got Fox back. The Lakers went from second to fourth just with one loss. The West is real tight right now. The West is really, really tight right now.
How is Oklahoma City looking so far?
Oklahoma's number 1, man.
They're at the top of the list.
Yes, they were 8-1 right now. They're playing no games. And the one game they did lose, they lost against the Trailblazers. They slept on that one because they were up 20. So sometimes when the wins are coming too easy for you, you kind of lax a little bit. The other team kind of probably saw that as disrespect, caught on fire, and then Oklahoma just really couldn't, pull back from there. After that, but after that, they're 8-1 right now. They're flawless right now, and they doing majority of these games without Chet, which is their second best player, easily their second best player on the team. Shea's still averaging 30. He's murdering it right now. What team is actually really surprising me is the Nuggets. The Nuggets are doing awesome right now, even with the new pieces they got around. The new coach, Russell Westbrook, he went to the Sacramento Kings after not going to the NBA opening. He had to get picked up out of nowhere because he was a free agent. It's a real tight window between 1 and 8. It's like if you lose 2 or 3 games, you can easily go from 2 to 8 or even 9, just that fast. The West is dominant right now, man. It's really dominant.
So tell us a little bit about the negativity surrounding the Dallas Mavericks. They're currently 3-7. I think there's talk of Nico Harrison, who's the general manager, and he's kind of been on the bubble since last year, since Luka got traded, and a lot of people were mad with him about that. But people shouldn't get mad with Nico Harrison, because at the end of the day, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks pulled the trigger and made that decision. If he didn't want that decision to be made, the owner would have struck it down, and that didn't happen. But I guess he's the general manager, which is the face of it, right, Isaiah?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but the
when you're
thing
the
is,
general
he's
manager, it's
also
all
not
holding
taking
your
any
mouth.
of the fault for it either. Everybody in the Dallas organization is letting this man take the fall. Nobody's speaking up for that man, and Nico is also not throwing anybody else under the bus. So
The
he is
bus,
the
yeah.
face to blame. He is the face to blame. Anybody that lose a player in his stature in his mid 20s, you will, bro. And it would have made it easier if Cooper Flag was snapping, like if he basically left off what Luca did. Nobody would be talking about this. But since Cooper Flag is freaking trying to find himself he's 18 years old, as trying to find himself as a NBA player, and they're struggling. That's just it's really throwing salt on the wound because we're losing. This young kid don't know how to take over the game yet. And bro, who lose a player at his stature at 25 years old? That never happens, man. That's why when I seen the news, I thought it was a prank. I'm like, bro, what you mean Luca went to the Lakers?
I did
Who they
too.
gave up?
I was so shocked.
I
I couldn't
said,
believe
what?
it.
Are you serious? So, because my coworker sent it to me, he was like, "Hey, bro, Luca just went to the Lakers." Well, I said, "Where you seen that blasphemous from?" ESPN, CBS Sports. What? What? Come on, man. It still don't even sound real. Like you really gave up that player for what? Because he got a little weight problem? It ain't like he's Zion that he never plays. Zion still with the team that he got drafted.
Yeah, the ownership has changed with the Dallas Maverick. Mark Cuban owned that team for a really long time. We used to be
Mm-hmm.
involved in their charter flight because they were flying to LA, and we would service their aircraft and all of that stuff. And I remember seeing Mark Cuban boarding that airplane back then. They had their own airplane. They didn't fly on commercial jets. They had their own 757. Now, getting back to the new ownership, her name is Miriam Adelson, and her family, basically they own a majority of the ownership of the Mavs. I don't know. Nico Harrison would have had to go to them, when you say so, Najee, to get this trade done. When you say that?
Yeah, but I think his hands is really tied with this though. He probably did. That's why he can't really throw anybody in the bus. But the thing is, when your hands are tied to doing anything, to especially going to do something that you know that's against your better judgment. Yeah, so he really can't say anything. People in Dallas, I've seen videos. People are hacking this man, calling him out of his name and
Oh, for sure.
everything, bro. It's
He's
it's
getting
it's total
threats. I'm
disrespect.
pretty sure.
And nobody, I guarantee, nobody knew who this guy was before this trade, bro.
That's
I
true.
guarantee it. I
I
don't even
had
know
no
this
clue
dude.
who the Dallas general
That's what
manager
I'm saying.
was. And
Nobody knew this dude, but because you let this man go, bro. It makes sense why. Somebody had to take the blame, and he's the only one taking the
he's the
blame.
fall guy.
Anybody that's anybody of a franchise player, Kobe, LeBron, Jordan, if anybody leaves they friends, if they got traded, especially if the guy leaves, it's different. If the guy leaves, then they're just gonna really go with that player. They're just gonna be pissed off at that player. But for a franchise to really if the franchise trade LeBron, if the franchise trade Jordan, if the franchise trade anybody in that type of stature, they will be pissed. Unless you got a LeBron for Kobe or a Wade for Carmelo Anthony. I can see that happening, and it would probably be okay. It depends on how much they really love that player.
Mm-hmm.
But when you talking about you got rid of Luca for Anthony Davis, an older player that gets hurt all the time,
Mm-hmm.
you got rid of Luca for that.
Yeah.
80's hurt
Yeah.
right now.
I'm shocked. Yeah. I was shocked. I was shocked more so from the Lakers side than I was, because I thought AD still had enough left in him to be dominant enough to help the Lakers get back to the championship. But to get a younger player like Luka, I think it was a very good move, on Rob Pelinka's
Oh, it
part.
was
It was
it
a
was a
great
brilliant
move
move for
because
the
it was a
Lakers.
brilliant
It's
move
the
on Rob
math
Pelinka's
that it
part
don't add
as
up.
general
Yeah.
manager. Yeah,
Because I don't know how you gonna tell me that you're on a win situation now when you couldn't win with Luca and Kyrie, and you thought AD and Kyrie was gonna work.
yes,
Now, granted, both of them have been hurt. Granted, both of them have been hurt. But AD is nowhere near the atmosphere of Luca, and he can't play the way he does. The only way he can really dominate is defense that Luca can never do. That's the only
exactly.
thing. But the way how Luca could actually control the entire game, the tempo, and
Mhm.
just be able to see the floor that nobody really else really can besides LeBron, maybe Chris Paul. That's it.
You know,
Hmm.
one
And we
thing
talking
I
about
found with
at
AD too.
25 years old.
hmm One thing I found about with AD, man, he had to be motivated too, Najee. He
That
wasn't a guy
too.
who
He's
take
not even
over
self
games
motivated.
on his own. Yeah, he's not self motivated at all, man. You got to light a fire under his behind to get him to play at his
I
full
think
potential,
AD is
man.
comfortable in his own way where he doesn't feel like he needs to be pushed or he
Well,
operates
he
on
did
his
enough
own
to get
tune,
by,
right?
Yeah, but he did just enough to get by, DC. That's what I didn't like about him. He
Right.
needed these guys like LeBron to say, "Hey, listen, man, I need your services. I need you to play this way. I need you to do this." You
Correct.
know, and
Hmm.
and, and that's the reason why he wasn't as good as he could possibly be. Because the moment you turn your back, or either you out yourself, like when LeBron take a day off, he taking a damn day off. He's not gonna pick up the slack nowhere. So that's the
Yeah.
reason why.
Yeah, AD has
Yeah.
taken a lot of heat throughout his career, especially when he got to the Lakers, more so than when he was with New Orleans, because he was not getting a lot of exposure like he did at the Lakers. I think that he just needs to get more motivated and keep himself in shape. And I'm not saying he's out of shape, but he has to be focused enough to be prepared for the season to endure such a long season in basketball because basketball season is like it's crazy. And baseball too, but basketball is just insane because they're running up and down that freaking court left and right, constantly. So I would just say
I
you're
mean,
right,
yeah,
Isaiah.
because baseball you can be
Yeah.
lazy. Baseball you can be lazy certain parts of the game and in certain
Sitting
parts
Yeah,
there
of the field.
down
because you
on
You
get a
cannot
lot
be
of
lazy on
downtime
Yeah.
when
basketball.
you
You be
playing
lazy in
baseball.
basketball,
Yeah.
and especially particular position, bro. It will be
hmm
exposed. People getting easy layup,
Yeah.
easy threes. They're
Hmm.
gonna
hmm
wonder who failed
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
assignment. Baseball, you can
hmm
chill. You can have so much downtime in baseball.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a good point. That is a great, great point. And I mean, I just think that Nico is not going to survive this thing. He might make it through this season, if they can turn it around. I know Kyrie is not coming back anytime soon with that Achilles
Oh,
issue. Or did he tear his
Kyrie
knee
should be
up,
back.
right?
Kyrie should be back.
When
Kyrie
is when
should be
is
back.
Kyrie coming back?
Because he got hurt, if I'm not mistaken, he got hurt like February. So they right now they got him projected to come between late January to like mid February. The only thing is he still have to get in shape. He still have to and then you just can't go full blown after coming back in the injury too. You kind of
Yeah.
warm your body up into it. But the thing is, they're a bottom feeding team right now because I mean, granted they best two players are been out, so of course they're gonna be bad. But
Hmm.
the thing is, I mean, you can't really expect anything from them this season because
Yeah,
Kyrie is going to miss 2/3 of the season. AD only has played 2 or 3 games out of like 10. Like you can't expect him to do nothing. And then
that's
you have a
right.
rookie that's trying to find himself and play a role that he probably not is
At
too
18 years
comfortable
old.
playing because
Yes,
because Jason Kidd want him to play the same role that Luca did, and he probably never done that.
that's right.
He's probably not putting him in a position to succeed at least right now. So now
Hmm.
guess what? He's got to learn how to play a role and he got to build his confidence. He's a number one draft pick too, and he's supposed to be the Luca replacement. He has a lot of pressure right now, man.
Absolutely.
He don't have his
Absolutely.
pieces. He's young and he's learning.
Absolutely. So Isaiah, let me ask you this, and let's shift on to the next topic. Ja Morant And Najee, I'm going to come back to you on that. But Isaiah, tell me, what do you think about Ja Morant's latest issue where he's been suspended by the Memphis Grizzlies? Do you think he's ever going to turn it around, Isaiah?
Well, he's a nutcase, man. Every time you turn around, he's into some type of controversy, man. You got guys. He just proved that he don't care. They've done everything to him. They done suspended him. They done did everything to him, man. But throw him out the league altogether. So it's just I don't understand how these guys do not take their job and their profession serious. And he's the main one who's always into some type of turmoil and controversy time and time again. So when is he going to ever learn? When they throw him out the league? Because when they suspend him, he don't. It just lasts for a little bit. He's right back to normal, which is being a jackass. And then he go in there and show his behind. And it's just mad. It's bad, bro. And when are you going to straighten yourself out? And he appeared that he don't listen to anybody. So I don't know where it goes from here.
So it says his
Yeah.
suspension stemmed from a post-game exchange with Coach Tuomas Asalo after Friday's loss to the Los Angeles Lakers. This was back on November 6th, which was last week, the end of the week. And I think the coach challenged Morant's leadership, and Morant responded in a tone the franchise deemed as inappropriate. What would you say about that, Najee?
I mean, yeah, because they was asking him questions about him and what he can do.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing he kept saying is go to the organization, go to the upper deck, go to so these guys don't basically not ask me nothing, ask them all the questions.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't already do that because now because you're supposed to not only you're supposed to be the best player, you're also supposed to be the leader of that team. And you're looking like a spoiled rotten apple, man. I'm like, but he's tripping. I can't. As much as I try to like him, bro, like you are really tripping. You cannot lead like that. You cannot lead like that. We were talking about going to football. We were talking about Tua, the way how Tua was talking, as if the Tua was, if he was looking good and he was playing well, and he was playing trash. This, John Morant, all his besides his assists, all his numbers going down. He's shooting crap. His points are down. His rebounds are down. The only thing that looks okay is his assists because Desmond Bain is not there no more. So now he's the primary ball handler all the time. Other than that, he cannot act like that, man. Not as a young man, not as a young black man, not as a leader. He cannot do that. And as a father, but bro.
So
I don't know,
they
man.
have
Dude,
Contavious Caldwell Pope. I know he played for Denver for a little while, and they have Jaren Jackson Jr. These are two dominant players, correct? I mean, they're there since Desmond Bain is gone.
Nah, KCP's not a dominant player. KCP he's a very good shooter. He has 2 championships. He has one with Denver. He has one with the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a solid shooter. He's a decent defender, but he's a solid shooter. Who you asked for? Jackson. Jackson. He's inconsistent. He's 7 foot. He barely gets 4 or 5 rebounds. That makes me mad more than anything for him because and then the thing is he's also a big that can actually score, but he don't look to score all the time. He's almost just like Anthony Davis when we talk about it, but he is inconsistent in scoring. Like he has way too much talent to always be laid back and he don't really be aggressive because there's not that many big men in the league that can actually score like that anyway. You have Embiid, you have Jokic, and you have Giannis. Everybody else is just subpar from there. So Jackson, he just don't do anything. He doesn't move the needle for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think John Morant needs to look deep within himself. He's playing a game that tens of thousands of people have failed at in terms of making it to that level to play. And if you have it, if you are as fortunate as John Morant to have his talent, especially his leaping talent, I've never seen a man that height can leap to the levels that he can leap to. I mean, slam dunking and all of those type of things. He has very special talent.
That the other day.
Yeah.
Just mentioned it the other day. He's about 6'2", 6'3". When he blocked that shot against the Lakers, bro, both of his elbows hit the backboard. You know how
Yeah.
high you gotta jump to do that? Now
Exactly.
it's hard to already do that when you're talking about jumping off 1 foot and hit one elbow. He jumped with both his feet, and both of his elbows hit the backboard, bro. That boy, he has bunnies. That's what actually what really that's what actually really made me like him a lot because he had the confidence as if nobody else can guard me. And then of course he jumped high. So I was like, okay, so you mean to tell me you have killer instinct? I like that. But the
Mm-hmm.
thing is, he also has a killer instinct to kill his career because he's killing it. He's killing it.
Yeah,
You
Right.
tell
and
me
that's
what?
what's
Because
disturbing to me.
already all the antics you have off the court already. Now you
Yeah.
have it on the court. Who wants to
Hmm.
deal with that?
Absolutely. I mean, they have enough challenges for any sports team, and I'm specifically talking about basketball in these franchises. They have enough other distractions and everything rather than have a player like Ja that's been through some of the stuff he's been through. Now, we have a commenter here named Devin Johnson. He says, nope, Ja acts like a child. And basically, he's Clarence from 8 Mile, whatever that means. I think it's from that movie, I
Yeah,
believe.
That's a movie. Yeah.
He's Clarence from 8 Mile.
Yeah.
And one
Yeah.
of my daughter's favorite, he was one of his daughter's favorite players. And he bought his shoes for her basketball games. Those gone now. Don't want to watch him as a role model athlete. I have to agree with Devin.
yeah.
And wouldn't you guys agree with
What I
Devin?
DC,
was. That's exactly
DC,
what I
you
was
never
telling
seen
you,
Eight
DC,
Mile
man.
with Eminem?
You know
Yeah.
what? I have,
Yeah.
but I don't recall looking at
Okay,
it. I mean, I don't have it
okay.
in the back of my mind. But
Clarence, Clarence is he was the wannabe gangster on that movie. Like he was brought up in a good neighborhood, good
mhm,
education, but when he became an adult, he wanted to be a thug. That's
Yeah.
okay.
what
I'm
that's what
pretty
he said
sure I
about John Morant.
seen the movie with Clarence, and I just didn't. It just didn't dawn on me. But to hear Devin Johnson say he's Clarence from 8 Mile, that hits home. I mean, that hits home a
And
lot, right?
DC, the thing that you don't understand about him, for some reason, he wants some street cred. You know, he
Yeah,
just
he
wants
wants to
somebody
keep
to
it real.
respect
He
him.
keeping it real, right?
Yeah, he want to keep it
Well, all of the
100,
players
not
that I've
100,
known
100.
that in any professional sports league that tried to keep it
Yeah.
real ended up out of the league for whatever
Hmm.
reason, right?
Yep. And see, the thing that's disheartening to me is just like this young man just said, you got these kids watching this fool, man. These
That's
kids
right.
look up to some of these guys and look what this guy did. And wind up taking an investment that he was giving to his daughter because she liked him. Now he take the shoes away because she don't want him looking up to a nutcase. And that's
That's
what
right.
it boils down to.
That's right. And I'm constantly reading day in and day out and, from time to time about ex NBA players and ex NFL players, even Major League Baseball players. Some of them have hit rock bottom, and some of that has hit rock bottom with addictions. Some of it hit rock bottom with, being homeless. It's just crazy,
Yeah.
some of the things that go on. So I would think that we're hoping that John Moran can come to his senses at some point and just say, you know what, I'm going to play basketball. I'm going to do what I need to do to help my team win and be a leader. And that's part of leadership. You helping your team win and you getting out in front of those other players, because if they see you playing well, they're going to want to play well as well most of the time, at least from what
Yeah.
I've
As
taken
a
away
matter of
from
fact,
it.
you didn't see what Kevin Durant said to his father.
No.
I think his name is T Moran, if I'm not mistaken.
T. Morant,
He goes to
yes.
pretty much, so he pretty much goes to every game for John Morant. So of course he's talking crap to a great player, which is Durant, and he was like, so Durant's like, man, chill. This your last week. Your son don't want to be here. You know how embarrassing that is, man.
That is very embarrassing. And as
Your
far
son don't
as
want to be
T.
here.
Morant
Man,
goes, I
that's
know
messed up.
T. Moran has been involved in some NBA games. I think that game Shannon Sharp got up and was challenging several Memphis Grizzly basketball players to
Oh,
you know,
he was talking
but
to
he
Dylan Brooks.
he
Yeah.
was talking to Brooks, but I think T. Morant chimed in on some of that as well.
He did.
And Shannon Sharp said, y'all don't want none of these problems. Y'all don't want none of these problems now. I mean, if you want some of them, we can get down. We can do it. And that's what Shay said. And, you know, at some level, T. Morant and Ja Morant, mainly Ja Morant, has to step up and he has to play well and help his team win. If he doesn't do that, they're going to find another home for him. I mean, he's going to get traded away, or they may get rid of him.
Or send him home.
Or send him home, yeah. And I think he's playing with fire on his last leg of the NBA, doling out punishment to him. So we'll see.
DC, when other teams look at his behavior, home is where he's going to wind up, because people don't need this negative distraction, man, because how good you got to be to stay on a team. We were talking about Antonio Brown the other night, man. The same situation where you are such a cancer, it supersedes your enormous talent. And that's what's getting ready to happen to him. You could be as talented as you want, but your attitude can bring the whole organization down, where the negative publicity, the trouble that you cause, all these obscene things that you're doing, is just keep hitting the news media, and then it's being published, and you attached to an organization what makes them look bad. So they got to make a decision about you, and the decision means get rid of you. And that's what's going to happen to him if he don't know how to control himself. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on Ja Morant, because at some point in time, something's going to have to give. And we hope it's in a positive way for him specifically, because I would rather see the brother on the court playing in Sky. I don't want to see him nowhere else than on that court, competing at the highest level and playing, you know, like he's played in the past, which is great for the most part. So let's kind of wind this show down and let's cover some NFL news. I think there's some hot news. It looks like sources say Brian Daboll is not going to be returning to the Giants. That just hit the presser today, as a matter of fact. I didn't see, you know, normally my phone has notifications on it, and I didn't see, but it says the Giants fired Brian Daboll after this latest loss. I spoke about Brian Daboll probably about 2-3 weeks ago when me and Isaiah was on a show, and very talented coach, good offensive minded coach. He coached under Saban from what I can remember when I saw him coaching. He coached for the Buffalo Bills. He coached that offense for a while, and then he ended up going to the Giants as the head coach. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to start with Isaiah. Do you think the Giants did the right thing to fire Brian Daboll at this point in time?
Well, all of these teams are scratching and clawing for, you know, a win, and a winning season, and some positive going on in their organization. And if you can't deliver that, they're looking to get rid of you, man. It's just a lot of good openings going to be there. There's going to be some coaches that's really good, and they're coaching as an offensive coordinator. They're under somebody, and it's going to grant these guys opportunities to move ahead and get their own team and have their own thing for themselves. And that's probably why they got rid of him. They're going to beat everybody to the punch, you know, to get a new head coach in there, because they're doing it during mid-season. They're going to already kind of iron out his replacement. So, you know, that's what's going on right now. Even with college, this is happening right now in your face. So you can already, by the time the season ends, they already have their new replacement in place. And that's why they're pulling the trigger on these guys.
So it looks like Mike Kafka, he used to play for Northwestern. I remember when he was a quarterback at Northwestern. He's taken over as the interim coach. Now, my question is this, and I'm going to be very specific. Who can coach the Giants, or who would want to take that risk to coach the Giants back to respectability? I don't know of a coach that I can think of out there. Do you guys know? I don't know of any coaches.
It's just to remain to be seen. I think some of these good offensive coordinators are out there. You know, the likes of Ken Dorsey, who always wanted a head coaching job. And they might grant him something like that, because he's been scratching and clawing for a head coaching job for the longest. and he's out of a job right now. I think I don't remember whose team he's on, but he got fired last year. But he's never got a head coaching job in the NFL. His name was even sworn around some of these collegiate jobs too, but he never took any of them. That might be a fit for the Giants. He's a good offensive mind and good play caller as well. So they may throw him in the bucket and see if they'll give him an opportunity to be a head coach.
According to this, I just looked and it says Ken Dorsey's current job is a pass game specialist for the Dallas Cowboys. He joined the Cowboys in 2025. He was with the Cleveland Browns for a little while, I know, and he was with the Buffalo Bills as the offensive coordinator. Ken Dorsey is a very talented offensive mind and quarterback centric coach. So I think he should get an opportunity. Kevin Stefanski for the Browns, and I don't want to shift gears to this, but more than likely he will be gone at the end of the year because of his horrible decision making and how that team looks this year. You got a ton of players on that team don't even want to be there anymore from his decision making process, and I'll just leave it at that.
The whoopings they've been taking out, dude.
And Shedeur Sanders hasn't even had an opportunity to take the field yet, and that's to me is shameful.
They did
on Kevin
division.
Stefanski's part. It's shameful. And if Jimmy Haslam gets rid of him, it probably is a better idea to do it and a good decision as far as I'm concerned. Brian Daboll might want to think about going back to college, and Brian Daboll has an opportunity right now at least 6 to 8 different schools, and a handful of them are Power 5 schools. I mean, I'm looking at Florida, I'm looking at LSU, I'm looking at several different teams that Brian Daboll could be a good fit for it from my perspective. The offensive minded coach, he's coached at the pro level, and he's a pretty good coach as far as I'm concerned. And we'll see what happens to him when it comes to that. More NFL news. Let's move on to this next topic is Paul Tagliabue. Paul Tagliabue was the commissioner of the NFL for a long, long time. And Paul Tagliabue was the type of commissioner, from what my memory and my fondness memory of him is, how he brought this league into the current state, his transitioning of the league to the current state. He was an attorney. And he helped shape the league into being the best sports league in the United States. Isaiah, would you agree with that about Paul Tagliabue?
Yeah, wholeheartedly. I can say he was a great commissioner. One of the things that we didn't have is the internet and all this stuff that they can see some of the negativity that goes on now. So he didn't have to endure any of that. But it didn't show all the scandals. It didn't show so much of the negativity with the players and the different organizations and the owners and stuff like that, like they do now. And you can have one guy go out there and get pulled over for drinking and driving, and everybody in the world will know it. He didn't have to endure any of that stuff. But in terms of the players, he's always had an insight with the players. It seemed like he cared so much of just his job and bringing guys together. I didn't see too many guys holding out for contracts and stuff back then. They got their money. They weren't getting paid as much as they are now, but they wasn't holding out as much as it been seen to me. I don't never remember a guy just holding out for games and missing games trying to get paid. So he used to have all that stuff ironed out. And the games was really good then. And it was a really good hitting back then. And it wasn't all of this crybaby stuff that you can't hit the quarterback and all of this kind of stuff like it is now. I mean, some of this stuff is safer, but some of it turned into a little pussycat sport. Because
Sure.
I seen
Because of the rules, right?
get,
Some of the rules.
yeah, because I forgot what the quarterback got greeted this weekend, and they called roughing the passer, and that wasn't he was just a good clean hit, and they called it on him, and it's just so much stuff that happened since then. But getting back to him, man, prayers goes out to his family and all this stuff because he did a good job for the NFL as a whole.
He did. And I say rest in peace to Paul Tagliabue. And one of my most best memories of him was how he was able to get the league shaped and ready for massive TV contracts, because the NFL was struggling at one point, especially back before the league really took off and started running. And, you know, he had a good relationship with the union as well. I know Gene
Yeah.
Upshaw had interactions with him, and Gene Upshaw was the union executive
Rep.
for the union. And I
Yeah.
never heard them guys going after each other in the public. And some of
Nope.
the things that I've heard of the last 30 years, you know, and I'm not throwing any shade on Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell, he's a decent commissioner. I'm gonna just say decent, but Roger Goodell likes to play it both ways. So you can't have both ways. You gotta just take the initiative and run the league just like Paul Tagliabue ran it, and you won't have some of the impactful things happen under your watch, because according to what I've read here, Paul Tagliabue was very influential across the sporting boundaries when it came to a commissioner of sports. He led the way, and there was no
Yeah.
other commissioner like him. He oversaw 4 collective bargaining agreements, which is, to me, is huge. And those collective bargaining agreements were the players getting new contractual detailed information getting out there, and the players getting new contracts, and the owners getting more money added to the till, and the NFL's you know salary cap going up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
So Najee, I know you don't remember because you're pretty young, and the reason I didn't ask you right off the top about Paul Tagliabue, but he was definitely a solid commissioner, man. I have nothing but good things to say about him. He inherited the league in '89 when Pete Rozelle left, and the league was somewhat in turmoil. They didn't have a direction, and he gave them a direction. So anyway, that will pretty much wrap up this show for today. We had a lot of topics we hit hard on. We're so happy to bring these topics to you. We're so happy to have people that engage with us, because we did have a larger engagement today, and it's just amazing some of the things that's going on in sports, and how sports shape society, and how sports is still the most popular thing in the United States of America. So I'm going to go ahead and close out, and I'm going to start out with Isaiah, and we'll go to Najee.
Hey guys, thanks so much for dedicating some of your time with us, and having this moment of beauty, a beautiful day and Monday, and covering our weekend and sports, and just continue to love each other and tell your friends that you care about them, and watch us, and tell your friends, your family, and your coworkers, everybody that we on. Watch us and stay tuned for the rest of the week. We'll have more content and more shows for you guys to watch. So enjoy your week. Take care.
Absolutely. How about you, Najee?
Peace and blessing, love God, because He definitely gonna love you. So we're coming up on Veterans Day, so respect everybody that did service and who's in the service right now. We got Thanksgiving, we got Christmas, we got New Year's. So you love your family, hold on to them, and cherish every moment you have with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to bring one last commenter to you guys' attention by the name of Tuna Fish. He says, homie on the top screen looks like he's in a barbershop quartet. And he's talking about me. He said, I look like I'm in a barbershop quartet. That's a good one for you, right? I love it. So we appreciate everything from everybody. Hit that like button and subscribe to us. We will be back soon. And we're going to be bringing you some more stuff in the latter part of the week. We're going to be talking about soccer, and then we're rolling into this weekend of football coming up for college and pro. So take care of yourself, take care of your mental health, take care of everything around you, and make sure that you let us know if we can help you in any way. Peace, love, and prosperity. Take it easy. See you soon.